Hello, race fans. Welcome to another episode, Short Track Guys Podcast, brought to you in part by McDonald Muffler, the Muffler Mafia in Mobile, Alabama, family-owned and operated muffler shop, handling mufflers, converter shocks, and a lot more. Give those guys a call, Mobile, Alabama, at 251-661-1043, McDonald Muffler. Thank you, guys. Welcome, gentlemen. Jim Pokrant, driver of the 07, can'tquitfishing.com sportsman here locally at Five Flag Speedway in Pensacola, Florida, and Ted Baber Video Productions. What's up, guys?
Gentlemen, is he talking about us?
Gee, gentlemen, Ted's kind of watch the insults here, Thomas. Hey, fella. Hey, everybody. What's up? We're glad you're listening. Thanks again to McDonald Muffler for sponsoring us. We appreciate you.
Well, we had a big weekend, and I'm not going to just say here in our local area, just a little bit down the road, there might have been something a little interesting going on that weekend with some big winners. We've had some mentions about those winners before.
Yep.
But let's talk about Friday night with Jim's sportsman class out there, beginning with that Stars Tour weekend.
Well, basically, we sucked. We were terrible. I found the problem. It was a problem with the front suspension. The car just wouldn't drive right. I knew when I went out for practice it wasn't right. We were shorthanded. Ben Cranford had a baseball game, couldn't be there. Of course, y'all know my crew chief, Martin Beck, is out with back issues. In fact, he's going to come out to the shop tomorrow night for the first time, so it'll be good to see him. We qualified 10th and finished 7th. And, there's a big wreck on the first lap involving Kevin Mitchell and the 99 and the 8 car got together, and then I feel bad for Jonathan Langham. He was just an innocent victim.
BJ and Kevin got together.
Yeah, Kevin hit the wall. But and I want to say congratulations to Kevin Mitchell on the win in the sportsman class. His first one. That's awesome, dude. If anybody deserves a win, Kevin does. They work real hard. Him and John Ruth and his dad and all those guys over in that shop, man, they work hard. And congratulations to them on the win. And also we had another first-time winner Friday night, Mason Johnston, the grandson of Okie Mason.
Yep. Good job.
I don't think he got but one podium last year, and he ended up leading every lap, sat on the pole and led every lap. So good job to him. That was a great race.
They've been working real hard on that car.
That car was flying. I actually qualified Ben Cranford's 343 in the 4th position on Snowball Derby tires with a tight race car. I couldn't believe it when we qualified. I come in, I looked up on the board, I'm like, how am I 4th? I mean, we were on old tires, and I ran like probably 15 or 20 laps of practice, and then qualified on those tires. And then he finished the race, and he was complaining how loose it was. I said, did you look at your right rear tire? I mean, it was about to blister. So it was a fun night. Ben made it and got to race, so that was cool. I was glad to see it. I think he finished 7th also. Oh, he was put to 7th. Because he started the car where I qualified it, they put him on the tail end of the lead lap. So, no big deal, man. But Ben did a good job. We got some work to do on that car as well. Mine, we just an upper control arm. Some clips come off of it. The bearings went away. It was binding up, and if you stand at the front of the car, you can see the right front wheel's towed out, and that's why. So, we'll have it fixed for the next one. I think we got a month. So, I got to put my new motor in between now and then and get it all ready to go. So, we're going to be okay.
Yeah, I was looking through the list through the finishing order and, looking at the locations. And one thing stuck out to me is that other than Kevin Mitchell being from Pensacola listed, you being in the local area not listed in Pensacola, in Milton, and then Molino with Brandon Fowler, everybody else seemed to be from that Mobile area. And I'm just curious as to, what is contributing to that?
Unless it's just a lot of cars sitting in the barn waiting for
There
something.
are cars sitting, and I know where several of them are. And, I understand the economy's bad and the money's tight, but these people that own these cars have the money to race them. But there's certain people out there that if they can't win, they don't want to come. And I understand that, but show up and try.
Yeah.
You never know. That wreck could happen in turn 1, could have wiped out the leaders, and I could have won that race, and I was terrible. But Pensacola's just not the racing town that it once was. Mm. There's nothing in schools for kids to do that like an automotive thing where the kids can come and learn about cars, and you could bring the race car up there and show them. There's none of that anymore. And that's contributing to this, because all the kids nowadays are rich kids that their parents write a check and they get to drive a race car. So,
Right. Yeah, that's
know.
part of the downfall right there.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some other Pensacola drivers that their cars are broken, they're not ready yet. But I know where several of them are just sitting because they don't like the 2-tire rule. They don't like this. Well, to me, that's just an excuse not to race. If you don't want to race, sell your car to somebody who will.
Right. What do you think how that Crown Vic Classic's coming up here has an effect on maybe some people moving to a different class and getting out of, like, maybe sportsmen like we're talking about, and getting into a new class that's being brought up this year?
Well, I mean, I think the class is going to be huge. I really do, because it's a true beginner class, even though it's not going to be for beginners. I can drive a Crown stock if I want to. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a good class. I think it's going to grow very quickly because there's a bunch of Crown Vics sitting around. Roll cages aren't that expensive right now, and you can buy you a seat and go racing. And I think it's going to be a great class. I think you're going to see a lot of local interest in that. At least I hope so. And I hope that it grows big and that breeds race car drivers to move up into other classes.
And they need a entry level class that just isn't going to break the bank, because
that's what that one is.
You're working on $5,000-$6,000 for a upfront pure stock.
More than that.
Well,
depends on how many shocks and what everything in Sportsman has gotten. I know people that are spending anywhere from $250 to $500 a shock to run with us.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I got John Ruth shocks, and my shocks are just fine. I can run with those guys. I can beat them because even though I was slow, my lap times weren't that far off the leaders during the race. So we'll get it. But I think Crown Stock's going to be great. I think it's going to be a good idea.
Yeah, and that's coming up here. ARCA weekend, I think, next weekend.
Friday night.
No, you'll get to see them out there at Five Flag Speedway. I know we'll all participate in that weekend. Got some friends coming over, Mark and Jackie from Homa. We're gonna have a big time at the ARCA weekend, the ARCA 200, the Pensacola 200. Excuse me. But that was Friday night, and that just kicked off the weekend. Now we talk about a really big tip on Saturday night that went down.
Yeah,
great race.
Huge race.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna start off. The racing was decent. There was some beating and banging and some stuff, but they've got work to do. I'm gonna say ASA Star Series has got work to do. You can't take 2.5 hours and run a 200 lap race. It was almost 3 hours when it was done. Yeah. Too many cautions and too many caution laps. Right. And they went to this. They did it with us too, and I don't understand this choose cone thing. We're not NASCAR. What do we need to choose cone for?
I don't know. They had a couple of violations too, where people ran over it.
Yeah,
and they were. I think they had to go to tail end the longest line.
Yeah, which is another goofy thing that doesn't need to happen. I'm sorry, I don't think it's a good idea to have that. We're not NASCAR. And then they had competition, or they had segments of the race where they throw a caution.
Right.
And then if it went green for more than 50 laps, they threw a caution. Well, they had enough cautions from wrecks and spins. They didn't need to do that, but they did it anyway.
Yep. And
it just made the race take forever. Because every time you stack them up under caution, cautions breed cautions.
That's it.
And, our boy Bubba Pollard had an engine problem, sit on pit road through 2 restarts, but because they went right back to yellow, he got out 2 laps down. That man came from 2 laps down to lead the race.
Right.
He did. They do have the lucky dog, which I'm okay with. He got the 2 lap down one, then he got the 1 lap. He got on the lead lap, drove through the field, took the lead, and was leading till late in the show,
And then.
and then, had a restart, and they wrecked behind him. The caution come back out, and he got run over from behind by Casey Roderick. Plain and simple. And I really hate that for Bubba, because he, on the race monitor, when you're watching the race, dude, he was a 10th quicker than everybody. Yeah. So he had new tires. He was fixing to check out. He had already, the restart before that, he had gotten out to 10 car lengths, and then the caution come out. I really hate that for him and his team, because they worked really hard for 2 days for that race, and I think they had it won. Ty Majeski went 2 laps down and made it up. His hood flew up. And he stopped and wound up finishing third. Yeah. Roderick ended up winning the race, which I think he should have been sent to the rear for dumping Bubba, but our race director once again botches the call. I hate to say that, but everybody's talking about it on the social media about how that every racetrack he works at, he botches calls and he gets people angry. And I think there's a time when, they need to talk to him about it, I think. Yeah. But Other than that, the fanfare from the show was good. I think, they need to quit with it's a capacity crowd. They said that a couple times and it wasn't, but it was a good crowd. Don't get me wrong. It was a good crowd. But Saturday night at Southern Raceway, they had a big dirt late model race that was equaled up to it. So some people are going to have to choose either or.
Right.
You got to watch that. And it's just as much Tim's fault as it is Tommy's. I don't think they need to go against one another like that because somebody's going to lose fans. Both of you are going to lose fans. Why not have it offset weekends so I can draw the fans that week, you draw them the next week?
Right.
Just my opinion, but that was it. But, I mean, the fanfare in the show was pretty good, I thought. I didn't like the cautions. I don't care for the choose cone thing. I don't care for that. But basically, it was a good show up until somebody got dumped. It caused a big pileup on the front straightaway, tore up a bunch of race cars. Now, I don't agree with Bubba going over and hitting Casey Roderick in the face. That was wrong.
Not in Texas.
Well, no, but I mean, I don't blame Bubba because I would have been that upset too, and I don't blame him. But it cost him $3,000 at 28 points, and he's on probation for the rest of the year. And then, big bad Boris Yurkovic, he's a big man, got wrecked by a van meter from up north, runs the Oxford racetrack. Right. And he got a fire extinguisher thrown at him. I mean, Yurkovic went to the back of the safety truck and got one of them big chrome fire extinguishers and slung it.
Yeah, that was a $143 fine.
Well, no, it was $143 to replace the fire extinguisher.
Yeah, right.
And he's got a $1,000 fine, and he's on probation for the rest of the year. Plus, he lost some points. He lost 15 points.
That Boris is not somebody I'd want to tick off.
No, he's liable to pick that late model and flip you over with him. You in it. He's a large individual.
Yes, he is.
But he felt he was done wrong, and he expressed his displeasure with Mr. Van Meter.
Yes, he did.
But I mean, the quality of cars in that field was amazing.
It was great.
I mean, from the Ty Majeskis to Bubba to Casey to all these guys that were here. I mean, there was Cole Butcher,
Carson Hocevar. I mean, there's a ton of them.
Cole Butcher. It was another car that looked pretty good there towards the end. He had a shot, and then I think his tires went away, but.
He finished fourth, though, I think.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Did a great job. I mean, there was a bunch of them out there. I mean, Hunter Robbins was up front for most of the race, and then he got involved in that on the front stretch, and it cost him his finish.
Yeah.
But it is the first race, and when this all started developing, we had gone through several episodes about creating a super late model national champion, and not just a Super Series or the Blue Series or the Miller Lite Series or whatever series. But now it's as a national champion. Right. This is the first one under the belt. There are going to be tweaks to be made, but to have 35 or 36 cars from that many states to come in for the first race of that series is impressive.
Oh, very much so. But, stop trying to be like NASCAR.
Well, Bob Sargent has said, he's the director of the series. He says he's got a lot of stuff to unpack. He's got a lot of
I agree. But stop with we want to be like NASCAR. Stop it. Do something unique. Stop with the choose cone. Stop with the stage racing. Stop it. Stop it. This is short track racing. We're not NASCAR. Stop it. That just aggravates. We're going to have a stage. Stop. And when you have a caution that's close to that stage, don't have the stage caution. Yeah. That would be great. If you say you run 100 laps and you have a stage caution, and lap 98 somebody spins out, there's your stage caution. Yeah. We're gonna go from here. Stop riding guys around for 4 laps. If you got a pit, you get 2 laps. We're coming for 2 laps, and then we're going green. If you've got a problem, then you got 2 laps to fix it.
All right.
You know what I mean? Because you should be able.
He has a lot to deal with, no doubt.
Oh, he does, and I'm not saying that they won't improve on it, but like I said, stop trying to be NASCAR, because that was a lot of fans, people sitting around me were talking about that. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? That's ridiculous. We're not NASCAR. We don't need that. Let the boys race.
Well, how much of that do you think plays into a little bit of their plan? Because they can break it down. You can get as technological if you want to. You can go as far as you want with that. They know the numbers. And if their numbers fall into place where strategy falls out, like you've got a football play is 3rd and 1, you've got to play. Right. If it's 4th and 2, you've got to play. If you've got whatever.
Oh yeah, they got to.
Racing has the same thing as a team with numbers. So if it comes to one of those little, I've got to do this to get out to get back into sequence. how much does that play a part in the plan with these teams that go in and running these races?
Well, I agree with the no live pit stops. That was something that somebody brought up on Facebook. We need to go back to live pit stops. No, we don't. Because the money you're going to, because the guys with the money are going to bring pit crews.
Right.
And they're going to beat you off pit road every time. Now, I agree with the not doing that, okay? But stop with the stage racing. This is not NASCAR. We don't need stage racing. This is short track. There's going to be a caution. Somebody's going to spin. Somebody's going to hit the wall. It's going to happen.
Right.
Okay? Now, halfway break, I'm okay with. Okay, we're going to stop, let you change tires, do whatever. But maybe the 50 lap, if we run 50 laps under green, straight ahead, we're going to go ahead and throw a caution to bunch the field up. Yeah, I kind of on the fence with that one, but I can live with that. But stage racing, come on, guys. And choose cone, come on. We don't need that. That's ridiculous. And they're doing that with us. We get to choose cone. I'm like, why are we doing this? There's 8 cars on a racetrack. Do we need to choose cone?
Well, how much that's going to help you, so.
I don't know either, but to me, it's kind of ridiculous. I'm sorry, but, I was still kind of miffed about that deal, our boy getting wrecked like that. And, it's sad. And like I said, Bubba, you're our hero, you're a favorite driver. You shouldn't have went down to Texas. You should have just stayed out of there. You'd have been better off. I understand you were angry. Trust me, I've been there. I've wanted to throw knuckles at people that have wrecked me, and it doesn't solve anything but get you in trouble, especially in a major race. And, who knows? He may decide not to run the Star Series after this. He may say, you know what? I'm not doing this. Yeah. I don't have a shot at the championship this year. I'm not coming back, but we'll see. I mean, his car is messed up. I don't know what he's going to do about the Rattler. I know he's signed in to run the Rattler. He may borrow a car to run it, But.
Yeah, and I was looking at that lineup too, and there is no Stephen Nasse or Casey Roderick listed in that race for the Rattler 250. So I'm kind of wondering, and I did see a comment that said probably a good decision. I don't know what that meant. I can only assume.
Oh, well, what do you think? It's SRL. It's not ASA, so Bubba can't get in trouble. He'd be able to send Casey over about turn 1, let him land out there in that creek somewhere.
No.
Oh, hook him. No. The right rear, hook him and send him flying. Oops. Sorry about that.
It's not much fun going off turn 1 up there in Kingston.
I'm back.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a shame. Well, it's SRL too, and you never know. Anthony Campy may not be running SRL. I can't remember. Was Ruggiero or anybody like that in Mobile at that SRL race? I can't remember if any of them were there or not.
Recall.
I don't remember. I know Bubba won that first SRL race in Mobile, and they're going back to Mobile this year. So SRL is going to run there. I think sometime in April.
Yep. I have to look it up to be sure, but I think so.
But that's going to be a good show. I mean, I truly believe that. And something cool is, I didn't tell y'all, but I'm going to get to be an ARCA crew member this time. A buddy of ours is bringing an ARCA car down, and I'm going to get to be on the ARCA pit crew. So I'm tickled about that.
That's awesome.
I'm going to get my NASCAR. It actually have to have a NASCAR be signed in through NASCAR and everything. So that's going to be awesome.
Something for your resume.
Yeah, and that's the ARCA 200 in Pensacola here in 2 weeks after the Rattler. And that super late model race coming up in Opp this coming weekend, the Rattler 250. And you got the Baby Rattler 125, I think, on Friday night. Or actually Saturday, I think.
Saturday, yeah.
They run Sunday, the big race.
Sunday, yeah. They run Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah, the Pensacola 200 with the ARCA Series East will be here the week after. But some big super late stuff coming up in Opp.
Yeah, they got a whole 35 late models signed up for that one. That's going to be interesting on that little bull ring having that many cars.
Well, they should. I think they start 30 of them, but that's the SRL series.
Yeah.
That's the Ricky Brooks. Also from California, the SRL late models out there. They're trying to do an East Coast version, so I look forward to see how that is. They run on American Racers, where everybody else runs on Hoosiers. So,
interesting. Well, they got 3 previous winners. They're going to be there. Ty Majeski, what can you say about that guy? He owns that track. He's won it 2016, 17, 20, 21, and 22. Augie Grills won it twice, 07, 09. Bubba Pollard won it once in 2012. There's only, 5 drivers, I think, that have actually won it multiple times. And they got a whole bunch of guys doing double duty. Ty's going to do that. He's actually racing in the Craftsman Truck Series Saturday night and doing the whip around and getting out there for the super late on Sunday.
Wow, that's a busy weekend.
Very.
That's a busy weekend.
Yep, going to be interesting. The thing is, That series, the last time they were in this area, Bubba won Mobile. So,
Yep.
and they're coming back to Mobile. The SRL series is also. So that's going to be awesome to see. And the Rattler, it's the first time I think the Rattler has been anything other than Southern Super Series in years. So
Yeah.
the Southern Super Series lost that race.
That is a loss. That is a good race. That is some serious competition. It's so tight and so flat. It doesn't really have a whole lot of banking up there, so it makes it for an interesting race.
It's a neat little track. I won my first feature on that little track, so that's a pretty cool place for me. I love it. And John Dykes and his daughter and them do a great job.
Yep. Fantastic place to run. Pits are interesting too. Off turn 3, back on to turn 4.
Well, and most of the pit stalls have water and electricity, so you don't have to bring a generator unless you want to. So that's something John did. And air at one time, but I don't know if the air thing works anymore or not. But that was pretty neat. We went down there in '98.
Well, results down there at New Smyrna. And I know Jim's got a little connection with New Smyrna here, maybe briefly, but he's going to make a little attempt here in the future. They had a big pro late model race down there, and I wanted to get them included because some of the pros were around extended areas in the southeast, and not a lot of them were able and have the financial aid to travel. But they had a big event. There was at least 16 or 17 cars in the pro race. That 100 lapper down at New Smyrna, and Brad May, which we had mentioned a couple of times, comes away with the win down there, and congratulations to him. That's always put on a good show at New Smyrna. And Jim, you've been there and run your car around that track, so you can imagine being in a super running.
I'd like to try it, or a modified or something. I'd love to drive one of those ground pounder modifieds around that place. Ooh, the stick those cars got. That'd be awesome. But yeah, congratulations to Brad May. He was the track champion last year, so, and he's come up here and run the Derby a few times. He's a big-time winner at New Smyrna. He's won a lot of races.
Yeah, a couple of guys at Colby Clements, Kenny Kreitz, Ruben Caceres, and Steve Redditt, which we'd mentioned last week as some of the notables that were going to be there in attendance. TJ DeCare, which I think has an affiliation with some of a hot shoe sprint car driver. And Mike Amato rounds out the end of the field. Probably not the night he wanted, but all in all, it was a great Pro Late Model 100 at New Smyrna.
Always good racing down there. It's a fast racetrack. It's an old, seasoned racetrack that's really cool. I mean, I love racing that plays tracks with history like Opp and Pensacola, and we got to race at New Smyrna. So got a little bit of the bucket list. Got a chunk out of the bucket list finally.
Yeah. You're going to have to go back and finish it off, though.
I think I'm going to go back down there. Yeah, I need to get my old Chevelle put together and go down there and run it and just see how well I could do with a car that's equal to what they have.
Right. Not take that proverbial knife to a gunfight.
Yeah, I mean, my car would run top 5 down there, but I think we would have done all right. I mean, Paul Coachy won the first 2 and he got tossed in the second one for soaking tires, or the tire compound had been altered. He says he didn't do anything, but the lab results don't lie.
No.
But he's ready. This weekend coming up is their night to race, and they should open up a can of whoop butt and probably win another one.
It'd be fun to watch. He's a great guy.
Yeah, good guy, good driver. Decent fella. Help us out when we were down there. Try to give us some ideas to see if we can't get faster. Now, if I come down there and I run on his bumper, he probably won't be my buddy much anymore.
No.
And if I go down there and beat him, he's probably not going to be very happy with me.
No.
That's all good.
But that happens. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all about all part of getting better.
Frenemies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got one more before we go for a couple of shout outs. The 6th annual Bash at the Beach. Here locally, just 20 minutes down the road, 3/8 Dirt Southern Raceway. The XR Series put on the show Friday and Saturday night. Billy Franklin Jr. wins Friday night with a 3,000 to win. And one of the locals, Joseph Joyner, with the Hunt the Front crew, takes up $10,000 on Saturday night. And man, woo! I heard there was some excitement going on in Milton on Saturday night.
Yeah, the guy named G.R. Smith got a slide job and didn't like it, and he ended up beating on this old boy. I mean, a bunch of times. It was ridiculous the amount of times he hit this guy. You can't use your race car as a weapon, fellas.
No.
I understand bumping somebody, maybe spinning them out, if they do something silly, but dude, he drove into that man so many times you had to have all your hands and fingers and toes to count how many times he hit him. Then they get to pit road and they get to fighting, and somebody took out a hammer And G.R. Smith's dad went to jail, and he was sitting in the Santa Rosa County Jail as of Monday.
Anytime there's mugshots involved.
Yeah. A very good friend of mine was involved in a situation like that. Hit a guy with a shovel. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. You can't use weapons. You can't be fighting at a racetrack. I understand that frustrations run, everybody gets mad. I've been in a fight or two myself, but I stay in my pit area. I mind my business. If you come down there looking for trouble, we'll talk about it.
Yeah. I mean,
but you can't continue with that because here's the problem. Santa Rosa County's now involved. They've had to send deputies to that racetrack 2 weekends or about 3 weekends. And it's not 1 or 2 deputies. You're taking them off from having to protect the regular citizens of Santa Rosa County to come to a racetrack to break apart 2 eggheads who are arguing over a slide job, basically, is what happened.
And then the black market lease of the track itself.
Yes. And, there's the property all around that racetrack's worth a lot of money.
Yep.
And it don't take much for, somebody that's got money to go to a county commissioner and pay him to close that place.
Right.
And then he makes all that money, gets bought, and we lose another racetrack.
And that's happening way too often right now.
It's happening a lot, and it shouldn't happen. And stuff like this, knock it off, guys.
Yeah.
If you're mad at each other, then talk it out. If you can't talk it out, maybe a racetrack ought to put a boxing ring in, let you get in there and duke it out. Go ahead and get in there and knock each other out. And then when you're done hurting each other, we'll stop you. It's one-on-one. But, the ridiculous part of it makes, people call it a dumb redneck sport. Well, guess what you're making it look like?
Exactly that.
A dumb white trash sport, and we're not that at all.
No.
We work on our cars, we race hard. I understand emotions run high. I've been angry. I've had my share of wanting to break somebody's neck, but, you can't do it because you'll end up in jail.
Yeah.
I got turned on pit road many years ago by a gentleman named Kenny Williams on pit road. He hit me so hard it bent my bumper bar all the way to my fuel cell. There was no reason to do that on pit road, and I ended up in somebody else's pit. Thank God nobody was standing there. I could have killed somebody. You've got to think about things with your anger. I've seen people flip cars over in the pits.
Just destroy them for no reason.
Like all that dumb crap that goes on up there at Bowman Gray. Yeah. They let them just demolition derby each other. You can't let that happen. Mm-mm. You're going to get somebody hurt. And when somebody gets hurt, then they sue the racetrack. Then you know what happens?
Then
the track has to close because there's millions of dollars being paid out and this promoter can't afford to pay it.
Right.
Yeah, but it does create for a good podcast, though. Right?
It's great for social media and podcasting, but
right.
We don't, and I'm going to say this, we don't condone fighting. We don't. I was involved in one at the Derby, but you do not go start a fight. Don't go taking a jackhammer or something down to somebody's pit.
That's been one of my rules in shooting video. I do not shoot fights.
Well, you don't have to, Ted, because every egghead with a cell phone's like, look at this, boy.
Exactly.
I want to see this fight. And then they put it on social media, and everybody gets to see you act a fool. So it ain't like it was back in the day when we might hit each other and it all ends.
They get to confiscate all the equipment that I shot it with, and I really don't want to live without that thing.
No, I don't blame you there, but you shouldn't be shooting it anyway because there's no reason to. Because then you get involved in a lawsuit and everything else. Yep. It's just not worth it.
Came very close.
So guys, behave yourselves. That's what we're trying to say. I look, I'm guilty of, but I stay in my pit area. I don't go looking for trouble. I stay in my pit area. If you come down there, then it's a different story. But stay in your pit. Yeah. Park your car in your pit area. If somebody comes through there acting a fool, then it's on like Donkey Kong. But try to stay out of fights and
just race.
Yeah, just race. Have fun.
Yep. So congratulations to Joseph Joyner. Saturday night winning that $10,000 check, and Billy Franklin Jr. on Friday night. I think at $3,000, but I think he ended up finishing decent in the field Saturday night. But that was we've got episodes from one end of the spectrum in our area. And I really quick before we sign off, I want to give a shout out to Grant Thompson and JTR winning that 50-lap truck race at Houston Motorsports Park. We've talked about Grant Thompson here locally, run the truck series and had success and moved on in that Tundra series with the Supers. Good to see him back. I know he still looks as young as he was, 3 years ago, but that's what we talk about, youth and pedigree. The genetics and that whole stable, is got it going on, and congratulations to him. Keep it going. And Gavin Graham, I think, followed in his footsteps with that 38 truck here locally. Yeah. I think he's still out there. And those are certainly some of the young guys that we've, been keeping our eye on, and hopefully talk to or about them here in the future.
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
Oh, Grant and his family are great people, and Grant's a good kid. He drives hard. He won a late model race in Mobile. Remember, we were over there. He won that late model race in the last year. So the kid's got a bunch of talent, and hopefully somebody will see that and pick him up and put him in the right stuff.
Right.
Yep. Well, you guys, Rattler 250 this weekend with the Baby Rattler on, I believe, Saturday night. They run Saturday, Sunday with the big race on Sunday. And then the following week, play the Pensacola 200 with the ARCA race coming up. We're going to have some good times. We'll have some great reports, and we're going to put a bunch of pictures up and maybe some videos. Hopefully, it's appropriate.
Yeah.
You never know. But guys, it's always exciting to have you guys come over on the studio or in the studio and talk short track racing. And I don't know where else to go from here.
Well, I'd like to say one thing. I want to thank Can't Quit Fishing, Emerald Coast Remodeling and Trim, Rich Bonneberger and his crew, and all the guys that helped me on the car, Ted, everybody that helps me out, because I'm going to tell you something. I ran terrible, and I apologize, and all my sponsors are like, dude, don't worry about it. We're with you 100%. Go get the job done. We got faith in you. And I can promise you and everybody else that listens, when I'm in that car, I'm giving 110%, no matter how bad the car is. I'm just digging as hard as I can go. Just wanted to let you know that. Thank you to my sponsors and everybody that supports me and my fans.
That's good news.
Yep.
Good.
All right. We're going to do 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Let's go, Brandon. Good night, everybody.
Stay strong, America.
Thanks for listening.